or a woman. Prayer is powerful stuff, y'all. I've testified many times how Mary prayed for me when I was out doing my thing, and sometimes I was in a bar and she was in a church. Sometimes I was playing at the Eagles or the Elks or some other animal club. That's what I call them because they name it after animals, so don't be offended. And we called them, we got to play the animal club this weekend. And it was an elk, an eagle, or a moose, or something. And we did a lot of those. Made a lot of money, y'all. But after your coke habit and your alcohol habit and your crazy habits, you didn't bring nothing home. And Murray was going to church at that time praying for me. And she was asking God to fix me. And all that prayer, man. Sometimes I wouldn't come home for several days. Sometimes I'd wake up places and not know where I was at. And then sometimes my friends would manage to get me home, and they'd throw me on the porch and hit the door and run. And Mary would come out on the porch and get me. I still don't know how she did it, but she did it. And she'd bring me in the house sometimes. And most of the time, she took me in. I woke up in the yard one time, I remember. She must not have seen me, you reckon? Or maybe she's like, you know what? You need to stay out there and get your head together a little bit. And, you know, when I'd have moments of clarity, and I'd come to myself, and I'd think, man, I know what I need to do. I know the right thing to do, but trying to get myself to do it. I mean, I'd promise her with tears in my eyes. I promise, baby, this Sunday I'm going to go to church with you, and I'm going to try to get around this and try to let it rub off on me, you know. And, man, Sunday'd come, there'd be something. I always had me. Saturday night I never come home, or there was always something. And finally, I don't know exactly what it was. I just seen something in Mary's eyes that she was really tired of dealing with this. And me and her just got to the point that I told you we sat down over a cup of coffee, and she said, look, man, I don't want nothing bad to happen to you. I just don't know if I love you anymore. And I told her the same thing. I don't want nothing to happen to you either. And then I just said, you know, I've been promising her for years I'm going to go. So I went to this church, and I sat in the back, and I hated it. I didn't want to be there. I didn't like the church. I didn't like the people. I just didn't want to be there, man. And that's that light and darkness thing. You know what I mean? The Bible talks about darkness won't come into the light. It's like it opposes each other. And I didn't want to come to the light. You know, I was having fun out in the darkness, I thought. And I just kept doing that. And I'd run outside, and I'd hotbox a bunch of cigarettes, and I'd run back in the back seat and sit down. Then I'd go out and hotbox a couple more. And if y'all don't know what that is, a lot of you do, but you smoke them so fast that it gets fire on the end about that long. You're just nervous. And you run back in, and I remember one night, I remember going home and really thinking about my life. And Mary got up and went to her $100 a week job. That's what she made. And I remember getting on my knees in the bedroom of our little trailer. It was a 12 by 60 trailer. And I got on my knees, and I said, I give up. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I need help. And instantly, I can't tell you how fast it was. It was almost like he was standing there waiting on me to say that, and he grabbed me. And I started squalling and crying. And I cried and cried and cried till I couldn't breathe, y'all. And I came to myself, and I called Murray, and I was crying, and she came home. And God started putting us together, y'all. That was in 1996. And we had a mess. But God started doing it. God can fix anything if we just surrender. But if you keep doing it your way, it ain't going to work, honey. I'm going to get T-shirts. I keep talking about it. My way didn't work. It just don't work. You have to come to that realization one day. You got to wake up and say, man, this ain't working. Somebody say this ain't working. I got to do something different. And the only way that I could stay straight, the only way that I could honor any kind of promises to Mary is God, because Eddie couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I tried to. I had no willpower. So if you want to really get straightened out, you got to surrender, man. That's why we do this. That's why we do this. I surrender. Let God have everything. Real men, y'all. You know, I always thought that Christians were weenies. I always thought that. I thought little sissy boys that go to church. And I did. I used to think that. They don't have a clue where I'm coming from. And I was wrong. I was the sissy. I was the man that wouldn't stand up and do what was best for my family. My kids needed a daddy. My wife needed a husband. And I wanted to do what everybody else is doing. And I'm ashamed of that now. But thank God I can live the rest of my life and ask God to help me be that to my family. Amen? And you can too. Somewhere you got to draw the line. And I'm promising you, I don't care how big and bad you think you are, how tough you think you are, God can melt you to the floor like a little child. I've done it. He still does it. Makes me stand up in front of people like this and cry and stuff. Amen? He can, can't he? And we just got to stay